Wayne, Gucci Mane, Currency, and Future. And I think for most people, and of course, my mixtapes is more catered to the South. So I seen a lot of people up north like, damn, no 50 Cent, no Dipset. Even if you kept it South, I still don't think Currency should be holding it over Jeezy. Like, that don't even make no sense to me. Like, I don't, because of this, I understand that Currency got a huge fan base, but Currency ain't made enough money rapping like Jeezy did over Trap or Die. Just one mixtape for Jeezy.
Yeah, but I think it was more. So I think Currency probably utilized mixtapes more than Jeezy.
You can't say that. Jeezy's career started off with Trap or Die.
Right, it started, but then once he was him, he ain't do too many more mixtapes. Right?
He still hell yeah. He got all his jokes on streaming platforms now. Nigga, he like 10.
No, I get it, but I'm saying, but during that mixtape era, I feel like Currency, that was his whole career. No,
yeah, but it was his whole career just because like I feel like you cannot punish somebody because your career tapped out at mixtapes.
But
I can't celebrate you.
But no, but the conversation is who got the best discography in mixtape, not the actual. Because like that's just like why I wouldn't. I'm like, damn, Fabulous should be on that Mount Rushmore, because when you talk about catalog wise, who besides him and Wayne, who else got better catalogs when it comes to mixtape? You talking about you got the Soul Tape and the Summertime Shootout. What was the other one he had? So that's what I'm saying. I feel like
Summertime Shootout, and he had the Soul
Tape.
Yeah,
and I think it was another one.
There's no competition.
Yeah, there's no competition. So that's what I'm saying. For catalog wise, and then like how Wayne had the Drought, Dedication, and No Ceilings. Like when we talk about catalog, you know what I'm saying? That's what I look at it. And that's why I said even with Currency, I feel like
I'm cool. I'm cool with if you sit here saying if you want to not be biased and take out and give one up north person, I'm cool with putting Fabulous right there. I can't argue with that because I do think I don't want to punish Fabulous for kind of never knowing how to make a good album compared to his mixtapes. Like Fabulous, his greatest catalogs is his mixtapes. Mm-hmm. So for Fabulous to even still have a career, it's realistically off the strength of his mixtape. So if you asking me, so now you sitting here saying who had a bigger career? Is it Fabulous or is it Currency? It's Fabulous. So it's kind of like, I get what you're saying, where it's like, okay, cool. Nobody can't argue with.
Because it was great, because I was going to ask you this before I even heard Roy and them talking about it. I was going to ask you, like, what's your top 5, like, when it comes to mixtape?
I don't think, but even for me, wouldn't put Fabulous in my top 5 for mixtape. Just because it's like his songs was cool, but it was
who would your top 5 be? Right now, when you just saying just off of mixtapes.
It'll be Wayne, Future, Gucci, and man, I may even say I don't know. I don't know. Like that's why I'm not mad at the saying the Fabulous thing, because I could, but really, that's what I'm saying. Because even when you saying mixtapes, I'm still thinking like I almost wanted to say the Migos because they had a bigger song off of a mixtape than any of them.
Yeah, but I think you just going off of one song. But that's what I'm saying. When I say mixtape, I'm like, you had a whole era, like you had a whole run. Because like even with me, I would sit here and say like, okay, give me Wayne, give me Fab. I would even put I would put Wale in there. I would put probably and Jay Mills because his mixtape series of the Virgo joint. Like, so that's what I'm saying. Something like that. And I would even put Wiz Khalifa from Old Cushion Orange Juice. Like that's what I'm saying. It's like I feel like people they're running.
But listen what I'm saying. So even with what you just said, your joint is still kind of it's all over the place where it's like, okay, Wiz got one elite joint, and you could argue whatever the other joint with the Cuban cigar on the joint. I could give him 2, but he got one elite joint. That Cushion Orange Juice is elite. Like you could talk about that's a top 10 greatest mixtape of all times, but that's it. So it's kind of like you celebrate him for 1, then that would go. I can still go back to my argument with Jeezy with Trap Without 1. But like you get no Wayne, you get no Wayne
so
and Drama.
For Jeezy. That's what I was about to say. Does Drama go on there because he had?
He can't. He don't have to go on there because he gonna go up under all of these people.
But I just feel like him just as a whole, just that because I'm saying how many different artists he dealt with. Because shit, to me, I still think the Pharrell Gangsta Grill is one of my favorites.
Yeah, I think with all of them Jones, it's I guess it's what you like in music, but then I kind of like what's the criteria, because you still gotta like what is that? What's the like even for Currency, like what's the Currency mixtape that everybody gonna know like this saved Currency whole career?
That was it Jet Set or something like that?
But that's my point. It's something like you shouldn't have to struggle with it because you're not struggling when you say Fabulous. You didn't struggle when you said Wiz. You didn't struggle when you sit here and said Jeezy. You didn't like it's something honestly you don't struggle like it's kind of like, or even if I can see and say, well, this song came off of this mixtape.
So what? Okay, so
like a mixtape when you see if you put somebody on a Mount Rushmore jump, they have to have a mixtape that changed their career.
Okay, so what about Chance the Rapper? Because that what's name was a mixtape, right? The color, I mean, his first album that was a mixtape that turned
into an album.
So do you give him like? Do you like? Because you said how even with the Jeezy, like you just had that one album that changed their career.
Only reason why I would say, but only reason why I would say no, and then that's when you kind of going back to Currency is like the difference between Chance and Currency is Chance. I mean, Currency still has a rap career off of mixtapes. Where Chance is like, okay, yeah, you had a great mixtape that put you there, but it's kind of like that's it. Like it's like he even had like he had the acid rap jump before that, but it's still none of them jumps was like, okay, cool. I don't necessarily Chance can't tour them jumps right now. Where I will give Currency some credit. Currency can tour and maintain his livelihood off of his mixtape series. That's why like see somebody put him up there. I understand it, but I personally wouldn't do it. I personally couldn't agree with it and be like, oh yeah, this makes sense. There's no way in hell I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, Currency is on Mount Rushmore of anything. Maybe if you say is he? I don't even like you. Because
okay, but Travis Scott, because that what's name, rodeo, whatever that was a mixtape, right?
Mm-hmm.
So do you put him? Because that's why I said that's probably more of the newer era where it kind of get tricky with.
But it's still like I can't even like that
because and you talking about you put it up on streaming platforms and it did them numbers.
Yeah, but I mean, I think Travis Scott just got a different type of fan base. But even still, for Travis, I think he built a fan base off of that. But can't sit here and say
mixtapes made him.
Yeah, like I mean, be honest. In my personal opinion, I feel like Sicko Mode made Travis Scott. Like I hear what people can say whatever you want. I remember him putting out the joint project with Quavo, and Quavo was the bigger star at the time. And that other mixtape that you talking about was already out. So it's kind of like I get it, but that's what I'm saying like it's some jokes where I'm like, this mixtape changed this person's whole entire career. For when I see him say the Migos, that YRN joke, the first joke changed their whole. That Versace was on there, Bando was on there, all of their Hannah Montana, all of their Chinatown, all of their biggest songs was on that very first mixtape. That changed their whole entire career. Like you said, even with Wiz, you see, he said, okay, cool, with Question Orange Juice, I can't argue that. And that's why, like I say, if you just want to be a non-biased person and throw one person from up north, I'm cool with putting Fabulous on there. I'm not mad at that because I hear a lot of people. I've seen people when they was talking about 50 Cent, and it was kind of just like
I really didn't hear 50 Cent.
Exactly, I didn't. My first time hearing 50 Cent was Wankster.
Even with me, when you say like even Future, I didn't know Future. Like I said, I wasn't listening to Future. Like I've heard Future songs, but I never really heard those mixtapes of Future.
Yeah, but I can tell you songs that you heard.
That's what I'm saying. No, I've heard it. Even with Gucci, I don't feel like I really know too many Gucci actually mixtapes. Like I've seen
you don't
a lot
know him by name, but you know the songs.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. But I've seen him featured on a lot of different mixtapes, but I never know his like mixtape project. Because even like with the Nicki Minaj joint, the little Sucker Free joint, like I remember that joint, but I don't remember like a Gucci. I think what was the Wall? I might have been. I think it was one
Will
of the Wall. No, I don't think it was a Will Chamberlain. I think it was like a Wall joint. I think that was the only one I might remember off the top of my head as a Gucci mixtape. Because like I said, I don't remember too many projects, but I know
Gucci's biggest songs came off of mixtapes. From Bricks to whatever popular Gucci song you know, even for Nicki Minaj, Slumber Party, that was on a mixtape. So it's like you can for something like even for Future, that Racks on Racks, that was on a mixtape. Like you can't. So that's what I'm saying.
Do OJ the Juice Man get any type of?
I think we could. We could put OJ when we come in this other conversation. So just while we sit here talking about lists or talking about stuff that